Welcome back. This is the Big Vibe Pod with Tev and Ty. We are on episode 2. Thank you so much to everyone who sat in and listened to episode 1 that came out last week. We really appreciate all your feedback, comments, and
Much
interactions.
love.
We've been loving it on Instagram, on our YouTube page, as well as TikTok. So thank you to each and every one of you that gave us your ears.
Gracias.
And yeah, we're really looking forward to more engagement with you guys. We are up
please.
and running yet again, episode 2. We thought we'd kick off and just give a bit of a backstory as to who we are and what our relations are with one another before we kick off with the show.
Yeah. Thanks, Tev. Beautiful introduction. You see, now the pod is podding. The vibe is vibing. We know now we seem to, immaculate. We seem a little calmer out here. You know, we took the first step, always the hardest. So a little bit of background. I'm Tyler. Kind of grew up with Tevin to an extent. We went to the same high school together. Little Model C school up in Johannesburg, South Africa, called Greenside High School. The very best, honestly, for me. I would say that. Went to school together, the two of us. Thereafter, just my own personal background, I went to the University of Witwatersrand, which was an absolute joke of a year. Wasted my parents' money. Sorry, mom and dad, if you are listening to episode 2. Learned a lot about myself. Anyway, so then took a gap year after that. Went to the University of Johannesburg, which was maybe more my pace, or maybe my mind was in a better space. I don't know. But
Ultimate Jawlers, nice, yeah.
The ultimate Jawlers, yeah. I did my Bachelor of Education there, 4-year degree, fell in love with it, right? I'm a teacher now. I taught at a school in South Africa for 2 years called Redford House, quite a nice school in Fairlands area. And then towards the end of 2019, got engaged in July to my now wife, Katia. And we got married at the end of November of 2019. And then right at the beginning of 2020, moved across the pond to Thailand, where we moved. I moved in with a few friends in a little province. You know, it's kind of like Stellenbosch, I suppose, like a university-esque town called Chonburi, where I lived there for about a year and a half throughout COVID. Online teaching, getting to know Thailand a little bit. Moved across to Bangkok, where I'm now teaching at a school, an international school, just not around the corner, but just here. So been here for coming on to 3 years now. It's been really awesome being here during COVID. Missed our family, of course, but what's been cool is like a lack of tourism in the country has led to us getting to see a whole different side of it, right? So it's been great, loving it. And that's a little bit about my backstory. And then obviously Tevin and I went to school together. Just for our context, we kept in contact, which was difficult. It's actually a topic that we're going to talk about a little bit later. So we are close friends. Tevin actually was the MC at my wedding. He conducted the ceremony. I mean, he may as well have got married at the wedding, and he was like the centerpiece.
There's a lot going on there. There's a lot.
Carried the wedding on his shoulders, I'm telling you.
It was great. It was great fun. What a day. You guys
so we've been, I mean, some of the people were there, but so we've been close for quite some time. But Tev, how about you? Some background.
Yeah, man, like Tyler was saying, I'm Tev, full name Tevin. Like Tyler was saying, we went to high school together, the Great Greens of Greenside. Amazing school. Shout out to Greenside.
Big love.
They really, put us on the best trajectory. I think we got a perfect balance in terms of academics, sporting, on the sporting side, and socially. There was just a great demographic. Lots of shenanigans and so many different people all in one place, which is great for post-school life. It really opened your eyes to everyone and everything that's out there. So thank you, Greenside, for sorting us out in that aspect.
Everything, for sure.
Yeah, after Greenside, I went to go and study sound engineering. I had this dream to become a producer initially. To be like a Timberland, but I didn't have too much music.
Timberland.
Look up to the bridge. I didn't have too much musical. What can I call it? Talent. I didn't have all the musical talent at the time, so I pursued a different stream of audio engineering called post-production. So that deals with film and television. Really grew into loving that. Went to work at the national broadcaster for about a year before doing a lot of ad hoc magazine shows and on-location recordings. A few movies that got played on DSTVs, and that was
I'm learning
really
here.
good experience, man. We were grafting. And then I went to study again. I went to go and do my BSc, still aligned in sound engineering and technology, which then had more focus on systems and protocols. Eventually, I thought there was a bit of a lack in my creative my creative side. That I felt that wasn't being given the necessary attention it deserved. So I went on another mission to go and study a BCom in marketing management, which I'm currently finishing off. And it's been great. It's been great. I've learned a lot. I also worked in the marketing department at a financial institution,
insurance, a whole bunch of things. Yeah,
they did a lot, and it was such great grounding for me, and insight into what the industry can offer. Also see where the gaps are in which I can kind of move into.
Nice.
That was 2017. I finished the BSc, started the BCom marketing in 2019. Should finish this year. Moved over from South
Fingers
Africa
crossed.
to England. Yeah, say a lot of praise there. Finally moved over to England this year with my wife, and it's been a really eye-opening experience. I don't think it was what I initially thought it to be. So it wasn't worse. It wasn't better. It was just different.
Okay.
So still acclimatizing, but so far so good. Really looking to see how this adventure plays out.
Oh, wow.
That's a short summary on me. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That was a lot.
Crash course.
Just an intro. So
Crash course.
Yeah, stay seated, guys. We still have a great show ahead of us.
Yeah, action-packed show. You'll learn more about us over the coming weeks. Obviously, our wonderful personalities will be shining through as we go along. Humble too he is. Okay, so let's jump right into the show. So we're going to start off today's episode with a little around the world story, with a quite a heartwarming story. This one is that we came across. So for those people that don't know, Walt Disney, what he did when he wrote the contracts, or when he created all the movies, the animations, is that he wanted it every, I think he said 50 years or something, to be recreated, with the idea of every childhood experience having Disney in it, right? That was his dream, that his stories should be a part of every childhood. And that is why so many of these movies have now been coming out, these live action movies, right?
Yes, all these remakes.
And obviously Disney wants to make money, and can't blame them.
For sure.
Fair play.
For sure.
But now with all these live action movies, the latest, every year they obviously release a whole bunch of trailers and stuff, and they just released the trailer for The Little Mermaid, right? If you guys haven't seen it, you should check it out. It doesn't give a lot away, except for one really important thing, is that Arielle, or Arielle, however, but I think it's Arielle, the main character princess, is portrayed as a black woman, which is not how it was done in the original animation series.
Yeah.
but that's what the direction Disney has chosen to go in. But the kind of topic of this story is that there's been this huge reaction on TikTok of all these young like black kids or black children around the world that have just been reacting. Man, it really made me emotional. You know, it really made me emotional. Like they were just so happy. Like they were freaking out. Oh, she's black. And it was so nice to see. And actually, just before I get Tev's opinion on this, just a little anecdote about this. I was away with some of my students during the week, and I was talking to one of the girls, and she had a blanket over her shoulders. It was a Little Mermaid blanket, and I asked her, so you saw that trailer? She was like, yeah. And I was like, you saw that, obviously, that she's black. And I was like, how do you feel about it? You're a huge fan. She's like, you know, to be honest with you, it's like, I don't really know how I feel because, you know, but I wasn't expecting it because in the animation, this is how she looks. Yeah. And now this is, you know, it's not the same. And I was like, okay, fair play. Like, I understand what you're saying, etc. And then the next morning, I'd seen all the TikTok things, and I went to her and I'm like, did you see all these reactions? And she just kind of burst into tears, and she's like, you know, everything I was saying last night, it doesn't matter. This is what matters, right?
Yeah.
So Tev, you want to weigh in on that and give us your opinion?
I love the fact that people are starting to have more representation. I think for so long, especially in Hollywood, in that specific film and television industry, representation was really considered when you're thinking about these big blockbuster production houses and films. And it's very similar to the outcry that came out with the new Lord of the Rings series. I think it's called
Rings of Power.
I think it's called Rings of Power. That's on Prime, I believe. And where one of the characters was a black man. Also, I don't think necessarily a lead, but one of the standout characters.
I think that he was an elf. And then he's an elf.
Yes. And people were very touched. People thought, no, but this wasn't what was originally planned. Tolkien will be rolling in his grave, etc. And it's ridiculous that something that's fantasy has so much scrutiny over it when it comes to race relations. And I think that's how society has been adopted, is to believe that characters can only be one way profile. And we've seen in Marvel how many iterations characters can have. Take Spider-Man, for example, who's Ultimate Spider-Man. You had regular Spider-Man. You have the multiverse of Spider-Man. And it's insane how touched people can get over something so simple.
And how upset, But I mean, just for some context, I was doing a little bit of research on the story just before. And do you know, of the Disney princesses, do you know how many of them, animation included, how many are black?
I probably would have said 2. Probably Princess Jasmine from Aladdin and...
Well, I mean, she's not really considered. I mean, if we're talking black, like obviously, you can get more specific, right? Like of various races, Hispanic, but of straight up black is only one. Is the Princess and the Frog, Tiana. She's the only in animation form, right? And I guess what I wanted to ask you about this story, right? Difficult for me to not objectively comment. I can always be as objective as possible, but it's difficult for me to try and relate to representation, right? I'm a white man, so for me, thinking about representation is not necessarily like a difficult thing to do, right? Like, let's just call a spade a spade. Let's not
many a times.
Let's not beat around the bush.
All, forms of video.
But can you say for yourself growing up? Because I honestly, maybe it's because of maybe because it hasn't been so blatant to me in my life, but do you feel as if when you were growing up watching whatever we watched, cartoons, whatever you watched growing up, did you feel underrepresented?
I think I did, and I didn't quite know how to verbalize it. I didn't know how to quite put it into context. So
because you don't even understand what's wrong, right?
Exactly. I was like, oh, well, this is a great movie. I'm enjoying the plot.
It's almost like a subconscious feeling.
That's the thing. And
yeah.
hindsight is such a beautiful thing, because if I were to think back at all the action movies from the 90s up until now, very recently, all the love interests are blonde white ladies. All the male character leads are generally white guys, buff white guys. And you'd generally have the characters of color as stereotypical roles. It's always the
funny
very
friend,
sassy black lady,
or the funny friend.
Exactly, the Martin that must be included, just to give a bit of ethnic seasoning to the movie.
Some spice.
Just some spice, you know. And it's so crazy that that's what we've been led to believe, that this is the norm. This is essentially the only outlook from which society sees.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, it does seem, for whatever reason it is, right? Because you can be cynical and you can say that, oh yeah, but Disney's only doing it because they want to be PC. They only want to make sure that they stay relevant. Yeah. And you can be as cynical as you want, but at the end of the day, the representation is growing, right? LGBTQ plus presence is significantly higher than it's ever been. In Lightyear, for example, there's a same-sex, I haven't seen the movie yet, but there is a same-sex kiss. I think it's two women in that movie that kiss. In fact, there were a lot of Middle Eastern countries that refused to air the movie screen the movie unless they change it, and they refused. So big ups to them. And even if you want to be cynical and say that, oh, they're only doing it so that they can stay relevant, that's fine. At the end of the day, it is the representation that is improving, right? And hopefully over time, that subliminal thought or placement or idea of like what is the stereotypical role, hopefully that changes even as the people make their money and make their choices. Naturally, the subliminal messaging will start to change, I think.
Yeah. And that's so crucial, man. Growing up, I didn't have too many movie or music idols that were people of color. Stand out would probably be Will Smith, who was in a number of buddy cop movies. I'll take Bad Boys as an example. He was in Hitch. He was in
when we were growing up.
Enemy of the State, that kind of thing. I think that was one example of where he was a strong, prominent lead. Denzel.
Yes.
But you see, it's so few and far between.
Yeah.
I'd probably count the male dominant leads on one hand.
Yeah.
And to see that dynamic change now is so important. It's so important because kids want to aspire to more than just being an accountant, a doctor, etc. So for those looking to get into the arts, you have a figure that I can try to
draw inspiration from.
Yeah, exactly. And nothing wrong with accounting, etc. Lawyers.
All this shout out to all the accountants out there.
Shout out to CSAs.
Keeping the books balanced.
We appreciate you. And likewise, in your field, you'd want to see people of color naked in the corporate world. Again, this isn't something that's very prevalent. You don't see a lot of people at the top in positions of power, be it CEOs, CFOs, CMOs, and people who are part of the board. It's generally still very much older white guys that hold all the cards. So in whatever aspect of life, work, you'd want to have someone that you can relate to. That's what it's all about. Another great example, Crazy Rich Asians. That was the standout film for Asian people. They finally saw that you don't have to be this overly dolled up person to be seen and taken note of in the world. And we need more movies like this. We need more.
Like I said, at least it's moving in the right direction, right?
Yes.
Kind of what the gist of the story is that we wanted to get across, you know, and it's really, really great. To be honest, I think, it's awesome. yeah, I think that's all there pretty much is to say about it. We'll follow up on this as more of these things come up.
You guys to let us know. You can let us know on YouTube, on Instagram, TikTok. What are your thoughts on the representation and how characters can be changed from the traditional norm of the typical, white
whatever
male,
it is,
female, as it is, and then to see a lot more people of color hold.
Yeah. How do we feel about
and not just the 2 lines in the movie before they ultimately get killed off in a slasher form?
Or even if just general comments on how you feel about changing the roles to kind of fit in what's happening around the world and to make sure that it stays kind of like balanced, you know, like at what point do we decide that we need to make changes in this case or in that case? I actually think that segues really nicely into the second section, you know, where we can make changes. So for all you sports fans out there, especially those with a keen ear on the Premier League, you guys would have heard that the new owner of Chelsea, Todd Boehly, came out saying that it would be a great idea to have an all-star game for the Premier League, North versus South, very similar to how they do the all-star games in the NBA. And baseball, they do it in baseball as well,
Yes. It was met with a lot of criticism, a lot of disapproval, and I think as an idea, it does really have the marketing legs for fans who are looking to see an exhibition match of all their favorite players. It's very much dream teams. We've always wanted world versus
like on FIFA, classic versus world 11.
World 11. We want to see the best players from each region pitted against their rivals. And as a concept, I think it has merit to it. The implementation is where it becomes a bit more difficult. So,
but tricky.
For the case of the NBA All-Star games, generally that takes place in their off-season, which is, I think, around 2-3 months long. So whilst they're gearing up in preparation for the upcoming season, they generally have the time to convene. They throw this very elaborate All-Star weekend where you get not only the sport that's happening, but you have musical events, you have comedy shows, you have an entire weekend built around this show-stopping experience for the public to be a part of.
And the 3-point contests and the drill. It's not just the match, right?
Exactly.
I'm not so sure it's in the preseason. I think it might actually be during the season, but they have a lot longer off. It's like kind of in the middle-ish of the season, but they have time off on either side. But the premise stands of what you're saying,
Yeah. And we saw a lot of comments from the Premier League managers, Jurgen Klopp, Guardiola, not fans of it. But we do think that there are a few lessons that can be learned from American sports. But before I get into that, what are your thoughts on an All-Star game, Premier League?
So I watch a little bit of NBA. I enjoy the All-Star weekends. When I speak to my more passionate friends, they tell me that those games, it really is just a show. They make a lot of money, first of all. Like I think in the All-Star baseball game last season, they were talking about $200 million revenue that they were making over that time, which, you know, a lot of people listening to this, maybe some other people who don't like sports skipped over. But anyway, we know there's a lot of money in Premier League already.
Yeah.
But, you know, they actually kind of said that the players don't really take it that seriously anyway, and it's just for TV rights and stuff. But so I have multiple feelings on it. Just in a nutshell, I think that there's a lot more tribalism in football. So the thought of watching Arsenal players line up alongside Spurs players or Chelsea players, that doesn't really excite me. I don't really want to see Saka. I mean, you see it when playing for England, but I don't want to see Saka crossing to Kane. Like I said, you see it for England, but you get what I'm saying. I don't really care for that much. The thought of seeing that happen, okay, but what could be cool is like if they did like I like the idea of the little contests in between, like a free kick, like a Ward Prowse versus, another free kick specialist,
Yes.
crossbar challenge vibes, that kind of thing.
Okay,
I think those could be cool to see.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the other thing also that is like, we know the schedule is packed, right? So the Premier League guys play so much football. It is insane, right? I mean, even if you take out the World Cup this year, which we've spoken about in the previous episode, but the schedule is madness. So where do they want to, that's what Jurgen Klopp and all the guys were saying, like, where are we going to fit it in? And imagine Haaland like ruptures his ACL in the Gatorade final, like the Gatorade North versus South match. Oh, come on. You'd be so, even as a, it's like, there's a lot, that I think, it just, for me, it felt like Todd, there's a lot of American presence now in the Premier League. Todd Boehly, the Glazers, Stan Kroenke. You see kind of with the Glazers, I mean, there's a lot wrong with them, but they kind of step back. Stan Kroenke and his team, Arsenal has a good director of football Edu, who knows a lot about football. So they've pulled themselves out. And it feels like he's just come in very loud and big, boisterous
Guys
kind of
blazing,
energy.
Yeah, almost trying to...
Before he understands the culture enough in the game.
Yes.
But I do think, and I think the second part of this kind of question is that we want to kind of discuss a little bit about the influence, right?
Yes.
Or what we could learn.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And look, you need to give credit where it's due when it comes to these American owners. As a brand, they really know how to build brands. If you're looking at, to an extent, your argument could be for people that are only in the US, that take note of things like American football. But as a brand, everyone knows about the Bulls, as an example. It's a brand. You're not just selling a football team. A basketball team. It's a brand. And they generally sell brands a lot better than I'd say footballers do. Because footballers, you've got
traditionalist, isn't it? Like traditional, or like that's where the beauty of it lies. Is, I mean, if you look at the shirt behind me, the Arsenal, it's the tradition of your club, right?
An Henry shirt,
exactly. A Henry shirt.
And I think there's a lot to learn from the American owners in building brands, and not just, they do see it more as a business than solely a football club, which, to their point, this is what's supposed to be generating them income.
Got to make money.
Exactly. To an extent, you can love a club, but if a club isn't being treated as a business and purely just as a club, I think you get blinded
and it will fail
severely long term. And you just see the collapse of that. I've seen. If you look at, would be a notable example in football. Think of any club that gets relegated from the Premier League. More often than not, if they've been relegated once, they fall into the Championship, and if they've been relegated again, there are so many the implications from dropping out, just as a footballing presence. You lose your sponsors, you lose so many of your investments, and it's so hard to build that brand up again.
To get it,
because the nature of football is, you want to be winners, you want to be glory hunters, you want to fight for the most prestigious trophies and things. Exactly. So when was the last time you came across a Blackburn supporter who back in the heydays were top of the league, they were winning Premier Leagues, they had the best manager, the best players, but now they're not winning anything that's relevant.
No, I do agree. Sunderland is a good example of a team that has really fallen from grace. I wonder how Netflix feels about that deal with Sunderland, because, man, I bought into that team, and then I realized these guys are making me watch a show about a team that's going to get relegated again. I was like, nah. But just on your topic of what we can learn from American sports, I think another thing, the branding, I think I agree with you. I think Arsenal's pretty good at their branding, just not really relevant in full, but marketing and stuff, I think they're doing really well in that aspect. But another area I think they could learn from is, I really like the wage cap in NBA. Yes. So I know there's financial fair play in football. I don't know how it works. Maybe Barcelona can explain the loopholes to me, because I don't really get it. But You know, I know there is
economic
financial fair
levers.
play, but is there really financial fair play in football? If you really want to talk about it and break it down. So you look at a club like Man United, where there's exorbitant wages that are being paid to players. Fair play, it's their money. I'm not telling people how to spend their money, right? But at the end of the day, how can the small clubs compete when you can literally just pay players more? Like, it is so easy for you to pay players more to attract them. So many players are leaving quite big clubs from other leagues to come to the Premier League. Now, you can argue whatever point that is, but money is definitely a big thing. They're not moving for less money. They're moving because the Premier League is hot as well. But I mean, you look at players like Scamacca, Lucas Paqueta, those kinds of players that are moving from their respective leagues, France, Italy, and they're coming to the Premier League, which is, I would say, the best league in the world, the most competitive, etc. They're definitely moving A, for money, and B,
100%.
for prestige. So I wonder, maybe, and I don't know how it would be implemented, but if you look at the NBA with the wage caps that are there, I kind of feel like it keeps it a little bit even, right? It kind of like the deals that you see happening in the NBA, you see these big name players moving between clubs all the time, right? And that's because the team can only have X amounts of wages being spent. So they can't just say, I'm going to build a team of Steph Curry, LeBron James, Damon Lillard. I'm going to get all these players. I'm just going to pay them and I'm going to win and make my money back, right? They're not allowed to do that. And I think that wage structure has made the NBA a lot more balanced in terms of the power. Now, there's other things that have happened there, like they have the draft, where you find teams are losing on purpose to get the first draft pick.
Yeah.
But drafting is not really a thing in football, because footballers start, I think, a lot young. It's a different structure in that sense, so it won't. But I do wonder if something like the wage structure could be something that could be spoken about and maybe somehow implemented, just to kind of balance it out. It's very difficult
balance
now.
the scales.
It's difficult now where some players are earning £500,000 a week. You know, like, it's stupid money. It's difficult now. How do you go to someone and say you have a legal contract now? You have to change that to a new rule.
Yes, because very similarly, I think Frenkie de Jong, as an example, there's so much talk surrounding him in the transfer window, leaving Barcelona for United, Chelsea, etc. And Barcelona, well, from what the media was saying, they wanted to push him out, but he didn't want to leave until he got paid out. So during COVID, he had declared to essentially
take a lower wage.
Yes, and set aside,
which would still get paid back to him.
Eventually.
It was a temporary drop.
Yes.
Yeah.
So once the club had recovered financially, he'd be able to get the wages that were due to him, and that didn't happen. So to come back to a player, their agent and organization, say, look, we do have a legal contract here in place, but can you be open to the idea of changing that? As a player, I would definitely put my foot down. If I'm used to earning 500k a week and you're telling me, sorry, you're going to have to go down to 100k, of course I'm going to be upset. I'm going to have my words. But like you said, the Premier League, it's, yes, the most competitive league out there, as well as the prestige of being in the Premier League. And the craziest thing I think about the machine that is the Premier League is, when it comes to money, no other league can compete. There was, I think it was an article in BR Football that I came across, where it said that the club that gets relegated from the Premier League earns more money than the UEFA Champions League winners.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which is insane. And you're getting people who are playing in League 2 of England essentially getting the same pay as those in the top tier French league, Italian league. So, when it comes to
logistically, I don't know how they would.
I don't know how they compete and how they would move towards a change in.
Look, to be fair, it's not our job to figure that out. We just here to vibe, man. We just here to vibe. So we gave our input. Now, if the boss of the Premier League is listening, mate, make it happen. Just make it happen.
We are just concerned citizens, We're just looking to make some notable change in the world.
We're just vibing, man.
That's it, man. That's it. And we would look to see how this can be implemented over the next few years. I think there's going to be quite a big restructuring format-wise that people are looking to do in football. So hopefully the legal side as well can
we keep an eye on that.
start making some changes there. Yeah, and in keeping with England, whilst we are on location, we'll chat about Queen Lizzie. As everyone would know, the late Queen Elizabeth passed away and has been lying in wait in England or in the UK. So she's made her trip between Scotland, come down to England, into England, where she's lying in state or in wait. And there's been so much centered around paying respects. Some people have worn armbands. Some people have written tributes and placed it outside their shop fronts. Some people have waited in those extremely long lines outside.
David Beckham included.
Yes, I think he waited around 12 hours to pay his respects, like
Big ups
everyone
to him.
else. Credit to him, man. Guys who are really going out of their way to show their respect to the Queen, who, like we said, is seen as the grandmother of the nation, essentially.
Yeah.
And we came across an article that explained some of the lengths that not only individuals but companies are also going to in order to pay their respects to the Queen. And it's really interesting, yet some of it is mind-blowing to me. I really can't
Bizarre,
understand.
that's what it is. Crazy,
I really
man.
can't understand how companies decide on
Some of these things.
Yeah, there was an article shared on The Vice titled all the things that people in the UK can't do because of the Queen's funeral, which is taking place tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's summarized so well. We have entries from the Hackney Council, who are closing down their carnival because it might interfere with the procession, or the time, rather, that the Queen's funeral is taking place.
Yeah.
As a notable one. I think you found a few more.
A few more stories there that...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the one... some of them are understandable. Some of them are a little bit crazy. One of the crazy ones is that there was the Met Office who does meteorological broadcasts.
Yeah.
Only decided that they would only... they wouldn't do... like all the meteorological broadcasts. They were only going to do emergencies or daily weather, which crazy. Another crazy one was at Morrison's. They lowered the sign of the checkout beeper out of respect. I mean, where do these people come up with this? Some of the sad ones, they cancelled a fun run, a children's fun run. Arguably one would believe that the Queen would want that to happen.
Yes.
The other one that was a bit crazy was the food bank. The National Food Bank closed for the day. But then some of them are understanding. You can't drive around the roads around Buckingham Palace. You understand the semantics of that, right? That kind of makes sense. And then there's just two more that I think kind of stood up. Well, the other one is like kind of movie theaters. The only thing that you can watch at a movie theater is a broadcasting of the...
Oh, the funeral. Oh, yes. And I heard that they won't sell any snacks aside from water.
What about cucumber sandwiches?
No such thing, man.
Let's keep in theater. I really thought maybe you could keep on topic with that. Okay, fair play. And then the last two was IKEA is closed for the day because we know how important she is to Sweden as a Swedish company.
Swedish
and
furniture manufacturers.
Yeah, and McDonald's, one of the biggest capitalist businesses in the world, will close, but only until 5, only until after the funeral.
Okay, that's very respectful, I would say, though.
Yeah. Let's give it to them.
It's ridiculous how some of these things have such a big weighting, and the consequences of either postponing or cancelling an event would have on people. Another notable one was, I need to get the name, but it was the board that doctors, so when doctors go to write their final
doctors,
exams, yes, that got postponed by 4 months apparently. So you essentially taken
you lose
back
a cycle
by a
of
full semester. Yeah.
You don't lose a cycle because they'll still do it. But imagine the mental pressure that's putting on these young students that are waiting to write their exams, man.
And not to mention the lack of medical professions currently in the UK. I mean, there's so much understaffing in hospitals and in private healthcare as well. So
yeah,
how does any of this make any sense? But yeah, I wanted to find out from you what you believe is one of the right ways to pay respects. Is there a right way? Is
there?
Well,
to be honest, it's a difficult one because like we don't really understand the context of having a king or queen, right?
Yes.
So I just watched Arsenal and Brentford play, and before the game started, I think before all the Premier League games started, they did a minute of silence, which beautiful, phenomenal. It's eerie. I get goosebumps when I see stuff like that. I think that is beautiful. I think that was awesome. Then they did God Save the King. The stadium was ringing, and that's not a big stadium, that Brentford stadium, and it was ringing. So I think that would be a good way to go, that kind of thing. And all these companies closing, it doesn't really make much sense. Okay, companies closing, that's no big deal. Like McDonald's and IKEA, that doesn't matter. But closing things like fun runs, postponing the exams. If the exam was going to be on the day, I understand postponing it a day or a week.
To the next day or somewhere in
the
that
next week, whatever. But the 4 months is a bit ridiculous. The food bank seems a little bit crazy that's closing as well. So yeah, I don't know. To be honest, like I don't think that these companies should close. I mean, again, the corporates, big corporations, no problem. McDonald's closing is not a big deal. IKEA closing, who cares? That doesn't matter. But the services that are being provided, those things shouldn't be cancelled. And obviously, I understand cancelling events that are perceived as celebrations. So maybe like concerts. There wouldn't have been no concerts on that Monday. But also, can you imagine like at a concert in the UK, like what a grand opportunity. We spoke about this last week. What a grand opportunity that is to pay respects, you know.
Yes, you want the nation to rile up together and essentially show just how much they have love for their country. And you
I think Monday,
stadiums, you see it as,
I think Monday, if there was quite a big shutdown and the food bank shouldn't close. But like Monday, if things had closed down on Monday temporarily, you know, for the funeral, that I would have understood and I would have agreed with. But everything else, to me, again, contextually, I don't really know what it feels like to lose the queen of my country. I know she's a prominent person, but if you just ask me for my 2 cents, that'd be it.
Yeah, just for the stream. And I know you, having been now living in Thailand, you had not necessarily had first-hand experience with it. It was the king that passed away.
So this is a bit of also, this is also quite extreme example. In 2016, the previous king passed away, and what had happened is, so in Thailand, actually every day of the week, there's colors that are allocated. It's the strong word. You don't have to wear those colors, but they represent. So like on a Monday, you wear yellow. On a Tuesday, I don't know what all the colors are. You don't have to wear them, but it's just like a thing, you know, like, and for a year they wore black every day. Even like, I know foreign teachers and stuff were told to wear black, in mourning. You know, that's quite a lot of black clothes that you had to buy. And this fresh Arsenal kit wasn't out at that stage, so I don't know what I was going to wear. But I know their sporting events and stuff got, all entertainment got stopped for a month. So, you know, I don't know. Can I say what England should or shouldn't do? I don't know, to be honest with you. But I do think it is a bit crazy in some senses. Like I said, for me, Monday would have been enough. Monday, you know, then cancel everything, slow it down. You know, I think that would have been
sufficed. Yeah, give her day.
Give her day.
The full day. And yet, after that, life should continue as per normal. And in doing so, you can still pay respects while still going on with your normal operations.
Yeah.
So, we'll wait to see. I'll give you guys an update on what the funeral and the full day looks like in the UK next week in our next episode. But yeah, like we said, they
tune in to find out more.
Oh yes, the man on on the ground, giving you all the latest news first. So we'll keep you guys abreast of everything that happens here in the UK.
Beautiful.
So I think that's a great way to wrap up that section.
That section. That's good. So the next and final section are the matters of the heart.
Yes,
so let's talk a little bit about this. We do like this. We do. We promise eventually Tevin and I will give our very limited view on being married, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today, what we're talking about is kind of in line with what we spoke a little bit about last week in terms of, I guess, masculine friendships and the convenience factor of not masculine friendships, male friendships and the male friendship recession. And I found a nice little piece of research that offers some tips for how to keep in touch with long distance friends, which now, obviously for Tevin and I is very relevant as we are expats living overseas and most of our friends live in back home or wherever they are. But also I think it's become quite relevant in the sense of, COVID has created a little bit more distance. In a lot of regards is kind of over, to be fair, like people are seeing each other again. But this was quite a nice little piece of research. And I think what I'd like to do with Tevin here is I want to go through the advice that they want to give. And I want to ask you, Tev, you and I, we just started this podcast. We got the big vibe going. We're vibing our chat.
It's such a vibe.
And we are close friends. Now, I want to ask you, do you think you could do some of these things with me or with any of your other friends, long distance friendships?
Yeah, you can run us through the list and I'll weigh in on what I think might work and what.
So the first one is to find activities to do together. So video games, I think kind of makes sense, right? A Netflix party?
Ooh, in theory, it should work. That's taking into consideration people have the same viewing patterns as you. So are you able to watch through a movie? Because firstly, deciding on a movie is probably the hardest part. So finding a movie that we both have interest in, I have either not watched or something that we don't mind rewatching, and sitting through it. Is the intention of the Netflix party to have that's the one that has a chat box, I think. So you stream the movie at the same time, and then you have the chat box too.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I could. I'd definitely give it a go. I love movies, but do I like chatter during my movies? I don't know. I'll give it a go.
We'll give it a go.
We'll do the market research.
The groundwork for you guys. Yeah, that's what. What about a cooking night where you video call?
You've actually inspired me with my culinary journey. So, for those that don't know, Tyler is quite the Ramsay in the kitchen. That's from the culinary skill set. He doesn't have a foul mouth. So we're not thinking Hell's Kitchen here, but ability-wise, he's a don in the kitchen.
Decent.
I remember doing some cooking nights at his place. So he invites us around, we'd have dinner, and he's prepared some very elaborate meals for us. So that I think I could get into. I've started getting into more of a cooking habit since moving over to the UK. Yeah, I don't have the luxury of my parents or my in-laws to cook us food. So being on our own, we've obviously had to learn recipes and try and convince my mother to let go of a few of those things. I think it's like a state secret, man. It's like Fort Knox when it comes to recipes and getting that out of people. It's a lot harder than you think.
So maybe that's not like friends. Maybe that's like more like your mom, like family,
I'd say
that kind of stuff.
Close family. That would make more sense because then they can essentially hand down recipes. And for us and many of us that are living abroad and very far from family, it gives us a chance to make meals that make us feel closer to home. So get your favorites, like learning how to make koesisters, learning how to make malva pudding or peppermint crisp tart.
Something,
you guys normally have. Like
that your mom, that your mom always made for
it's
you.
elite, like all the other aunties, and then there's your mom. Like,
hey, but then imagine you do the cooking party and you eat it and you're like, oh, mom, I think I might have done it better than you.
Oof.
Just
do not come home for the holidays, son.
Okay, so what about this one? Okay, working together on Zoom.
Oh,
Like, I'm gonna bail you,
a bit.
and I'm gonna work, and you're gonna work, and we're just gonna be there.
It's
I mean, I
again
know
a
we're
good,
friends, but
a good concept. Like, kudos to the person that thought of the idea, but I don't know how comfortable I am. Also, I'm awkward. When I'm working, I'm head down.
I'm working.
I'm not there to play games, guys.
Yeah. But maybe this research was done for like for a different generation, because my students the other day I was walking around, like my students were busy doing work, my grade 12s, and one of them was in a line is like WhatsApp. They were on this WhatsApp call, this group call, and I'm like, oh, who are you talking to? And he's like, yeah, I'm not such a strict teacher, so instead of reprimanding him, I'm like, hey, who are you chatting to, like out of interest sake?
Nice,
and he's
nice.
like, no, it's actually these 3 people that used to go to school here. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. What did they say? No, nothing. The group is called Sleeping. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, so what we do is like we just call each other and we sleep. So we put on our videos, and you don't even see them. You kind of see like the top part of their head, like, you know, and they just DOS. They just sleep, my man. Like, that's what they do in this group chat. So maybe this working together, this whole article was put together for a different...
For that, yeah, I'd like you to follow up with that student. Find out, do they feel closer to their friend? Because they're thinking visually, you're seeing your friend. I can see you now. I feel like our conversation has a bit more weight because I can see you.
Yeah.
I can pick up visual cues. I can get a lot of nuances in seeing your face than if I had called you over the phone.
For sure.
I think these principles can also be implemented not just long distance relationships, but like you said, socially, I think people have become very introverted because of
it's easy to hide behind a text.
That's it. And now we've resorted back to that place of convenience where I can just give Tyler a video call and I've seen him for the week. I don't necessarily have to go out with him to go and watch the game. Yeah. And that's a hard thing to unlearn, I'd say. Getting back that social battery that was once probably like...
Which is cool. If you can see each other, then that's great. I mean, in our case, all we can do is video calls and start a podcast, evidently. But you know, that's like kind of. I think actually we can like wrap up with the advice, the really nice advice that I think that they gave here. Before we do that, please make sure, guys, comment. Let us know if you have any advice for like what we can do together as long distance friends. Yeah. Yes. What's worked for you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not something that can be taught necessarily. There isn't a textbook for it, and
you have to go through it. How to
manage long distance relationships isn't out there. It's a learning process, and what might work for some of you might not work for others. But if we have the big pool to work through, then that's always highly appreciated. And like you were saying, there was a few.
That's. I think if any of our friends are still listening here at this point in episode 2, these are things that you could just bear in mind. And I think I really, really like some of these things. So some of the advice that they give here is that you need to establish norms and boundaries, like, you know, with each other. You need to communicate with each other. It's back to what we spoke about last week. So you need to say like, hey, like, you're my friend, and as a friend, I feel like I need 5 minutes, like 5 minutes a week just to chat to you. Like, that'd be great. You need to communicate a simple conversation, right? Just saying like what you need out of the friendship. So establish those norms with your long distance friends. The second one, and I thought this was really, really cool, is kind of lowering the stakes of your conversation. So by that, what it means is like, instead of chatting to your friends for like an hour or 2 hours, right, which is a long, sometimes taxing call, right, and it's a lot, right? It's a lot of time to take out. We know now, even though you on the same time zone as South Africa, you know it's not always so easy to take out 2 hours a day to talk to people, right? So you lower the stakes of your conversation, right? You just call someone and you're like, actually yesterday, one of my mates called me and it was so nice. He was in the gym and he's like, yo, what's up? I just wanted to say hi. just wanted to see your face. So nice to see you. And I was like walking around in the shop, you know, and I'm so glad I took that call. And afterwards I was like, oh my, like that was so nice. Not that I feel like we're done talking now, but it was just so nice. Like just that. So lowering the stakes of your conversation, I think that's great advice.
And I don't think it's something we take into consideration too much. We place so much weight on conversations being very deep. I must have a DMC with you in order to feel like I've caught up with you. You're actually just saying, I thought about you today, man. I came across this Arielle magazine. I thought you'd like it. Reminded me of you. Just want to see that you're doing okay. And that is such a great experience. I think that can keep you going for X amount of time.
Like a fair amount of time. Even just sending a video, something like that. Something small, again, low stakes. You know, just
I do like that. That's a great thing.
And those were the main pieces of advice that the article had. So maybe that's something that we can try out along with some of our other friends, because you and I, we talk a lot now, as you can see. Guys, podcasting is no joke, man. This is hard work, guys.
I speak to this guy probably every second day, man. Jeez.
Hey, man. But I think, how do you feel about wrapping it up nicely over there?
I think that's a very poignant point to leave it on. This is, again, something that can be implemented in long-distance relationships, be it friendships or romantic ones. Guys in your same city. I mean, we had friends that stayed on polar opposite sides of town.
Yes.
Just shout out. We thinking of you, man. Who stayed like on the other side of Joburg. That felt so distant from everything else. And it was always an occasion to go to him or him coming to wherever we're at. So all these tips and tricks are so handy in so many relationships, because we've moved into a period where you have to schedule time with friends and family. It's not as convenient as always just giving them a call or sending them a WhatsApp. People don't necessarily respond as quickly as they used to. People aren't as available as what they used to, because people are taking a lot more time for themselves. And I think that comes with a lot of benefits and
drawbacks. So, for sure.
Great point.
So let's try that. Let's try that out within our own friendships. But just before we leave, we're going to tell you guys, please, we really appreciate all the support that everyone's been giving us, all the feedback, we're taking it in. I know we talk a lot about sports, you know, it's kind of our thing. But we are adding like little segments into the episode, so you can skip any part that you don't like. We like to think everything's relevant, but we know it's not relevant for everyone. But again, all your support is much appreciated. Please share it along. If you think people might be interested, you know, like the video, subscribe to the channels, you know, on Instagram, we're on, the Big Vibe Pod. We've got TikTok. I'm still kind of catching the ropes on TikTok. It's not easy. I'm not going to lie. I'm still trying to figure TikTok out a little bit, but thank you for all the support. You guys have really been great. So that's all from me on my side.
Just to echo Tyler's comments here, thank you guys so much for listening in again. We do appreciate all your comments, your feedback. If you think something we've spoken about, if you have a different take on it, we'd love to hear that. So put it in comments, send the DMs, do anything
what
you
want
like,
what you don't like.
Exactly. If you think there's some topics that you'd like us to cover in any of the sections that we've discussed, if you guys have ideas, we're really here to listen, and we really do appreciate you guys taking time out, because as much as we're growing, as much as we learn from each other, there's so much that we are yet to learn.
We don't know much about much.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
So if you've taken the step to leave town, leave home, leave the country, and
or even if you're just thinking about doing it, hit us up. Even if you're not, just get in touch. Let us know. Yeah, we'd be happy to hear from you guys.
Yeah. So thanks again. We hope you guys have an amazing week. Don't forget, you can find all of our links to Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. It's the Big Vibe Pod. And we're looking forward to sharing another hour or thereabouts with you next week.
Catch you later, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.